Hello, everyone. Welcome to Sign1News live virtual chat. I'm Sign1News anchor Martha Anger. Have you noticed how many deaf movies and television shows have been made in the past couple of years with deaf and lead actors and deaf storylines like Coda, Sound of Metal, Godzilla versus Kong, A Quiet Place, Audible, even The Simpsons added a deaf character for the first time in the show's history. But which ones did you think did a great job of representing the deaf community, and which ones completely missed the mark? And while you're sharing your thoughts, you know what to do. Let us know where you're watching us from so we can give your city, state, or country a virtual shout out. So start typing now while we take a look at a couple of stories trending in the news today. Multiple severe storms are threatening to hinder travel this weekend. In fact, about 10 million people are at risk for severe storms, and over 7 million are under either red flag warnings or fire weather watches. The danger extends from New Mexico into Texas and Colorado over the next few days, and it's not just rain and fires. In North Dakota, a strong winter storm has ranchers working frantically to keep their calves alive. Roughly 2 feet of snow fell during what's known as calving season. Baby cows are typically born in April and they're sold in the fall. Unfortunately, some calves died after getting stuck in the snow. Fentanyl is killing Americans at an unprecedented rate. That's according to the Drug Enforcement Administration. The agency sent a letter to local, state, and federal law enforcement partners warning of a nationwide spike in fentanyl related mass overdose events. That means several overdoses are happening at the same time at the same location. And tragically, many of the overdose victims had no idea they had ingested fentanyl. And that's because drug dealers told them it was cocaine or the pill looked identical to a legitimate prescription. Nearly every state in the country saw a rise in overdose deaths, with the exception of Wyoming, Hawaii, and New Hampshire. TikTok is looking for a way for users to leave more feedback on comments left on videos. This week, the social media site announced it is testing adding a dislike button to individual comments. TikTok is looking at a way for users to click on the button to privately flag posts that they find irrelevant or inappropriate. Creators and other users will not be able to see the dislikes. Only the person who disliked the comment can see it. TikTok says this will avoid creating ill feelings between users while allowing users to feel more in control over their posts. After the testing phase, the company says it will decide on whether to roll out the feature in the coming weeks. All right, check out the viral video of the week. It was a heart-stopping moment when a speeding car loses control on an on-ramp and slams into a truck on the highway. The truck driver loses control and slams into a bridge overpass and immediately burst into flames. Take a look. Wow. Incredibly, the driver was able to walk away and no one was seriously hurt. Police are still looking for the driver of the car. All right, time to rep your city, your state, or your country. All right, let's check the chat comments to see where you're watching us from. I'm from the Peach State, Georgia. Yay. Come on. Hello. Hello, Carla from Georgia. Connecticut. I'm from Atlanta, right here. Hello, Virginia. Hello, Cameo. Our number one Sign1News fan. We love you. Oh, Texas. That's my hometown. I'm from Austin. Originally from Austin. No way. Wichita Falls. It's a beautiful small town. I love the farm and it's just really nice country. Beautiful town. From Arkansas. That's my neighbor. Keep them coming. Jacksonville. Cool. Oh, I see so many coming in. Thank you. Okay, are you ready to join the conversation? Oops. That's a problem being deaf. You may knock your glasses off. All right. All right, let's talk about deaf representation in Hollywood. Have you noticed how many deaf themed movies and TV shows have been produced in the past 5 years? You guys already know I'm an actor, a director, and a filmmaker. And honestly, I really don't remember a time in my entire film career where there were so many deaf themed productions, just one after the other. Honestly, this is a new experience for me. So my first question for you guys is, how many of you how many of the movies have you seen? Sound of Metal, Coda, King Kong versus Godzilla, A Quiet Place, 1 and 2, The Simpsons? That was just this past Sunday. It was the first time they had a deaf character in history, a cartoon character. Have you guys watched any of those movies? Come on, let me know in the comments. Let me know your thoughts and, you know. So Martha says, I am so happy for movies growing for deaf. Oh, yeah, you're right. So many opportunities. I agree with you. Carla said, I did watch Coda, but not the other 4 movies. Let's see. You can watch The Sound of Metal on Amazon. Coda's on Apple. A Quiet Place and Kong, I think they're on HBO Max, I think. And The Simpsons, of course, is on Fox. So your favorite was Coda. Okay. Can you tell me why? I'm just curious. Why was Cody your favorite? I think I watched all 5 of them with the exception of The Simpsons. I missed it last Sunday. I'm just curious what you guys thought. Did you see it? Katie says, "Yes, I did watch, especially The Simpsons." Okay, yeah, I saw that one. So you watched all 3 movies with the exception of The Simpsons and A Quiet Place. Wow! A Quiet Place is so good. First, it was A Quiet Place, and then The Sound of Metal, and then Kong versus Godzilla, and then Coda, and the most recently was The Simpsons. Quiet Place. Oh, that's my personal favorite because it was a horror movie. I love horror films. I really enjoyed that movie. It was kind of a new concept. I have my a lot of opinions because I'm a filmmaker and I really can't help but critically analyze when I'm watching. I'm just analyzing the movies for the framing, the directing, the acting, the backgrounds. Why'd you pick that color? Why'd you pick that frame? Just a different perspective. I have my opinions, both positive and negative. Ronika says she did watch A Quiet Place and A Sound of Metal. Did you like them so far? Oh, they already have A Quiet Place 3 already? Hmm. I'm guilty. I saw the first one, but I haven't seen the second and the third. I just don't have a lot of time. I really need to catch up to A Quiet Place 2, you know, now that they have a third. So you watched a Quiet Place and The Simpsons. Most people have seen The Simpsons and A Quiet Place and Coda. Sound of Metal, not so much. That's pretty interesting. Oh, my favorite action film is King Kong versus Godzilla. I love action films. Those are the best for me. So now you just sent me all of the comments about the movies that you watched. Now tell me your thoughts about them. Did you give them a thumbs up? Did you give them a thumbs down? Did you like A Quiet Place, The Simpsons? Explain why you thought it sucked. You know. Now for me, I can just share my opinion. So where do I start? So I watched A Quiet Place first. It was about deaf survival and survivors. I think more deaf people would be safer when it comes to the end of the world, because, if it had to do something with sound. I enjoyed The Quiet Place because it was a new idea, it was different. And remember the movie that kinda copied The Quiet Place? I challenge you. Do you guys know what it word was? It was Bird Box. I love that well. I love the actress Sandra Bullock as well in Bird Box. Yeah, they were definitely inspired by A Quiet Place, for sure. Basically, A Quiet Place kinda started it. I don't know if you noticed it, kind of that trend right after The Quiet Place. Cameo Boogie says, "I picked King Kong versus Zilla because I'm an actor as a scare actor for Halloween Horror Night. King Kong set on Ryder Park Adventure." Oh, it's pretty fun. Pretty fun. Is it are you in studio or Six Flags or, your horror scare actor? Which one are you? And then there was The Sound of Metal. I watched The Sound of Metal, but that was kind of more for a hearing audience. But one I really, really loved, as far as the background for the movie, it really representative. And then Paul Rassi, and then Coda came. Honestly, if Paul Rassi was not good, maybe Riz Ahmed, he was hearing, he was British, and he was losing his hearing. He was becoming deaf. His whole world changed. Yeah, and he realized when he went to a deaf school that he was not alone and they welcomed him. You know, honestly, I- it was inspiring for me. The deaf community supported it, but I'm pretty critical. I just super hyper analyze everything. Jason says I like Coda. Paul Rassi and The Sound of Metal was awesome. But my was it my favorite movie? No. I did enjoy it though. Oh, Kong versus Godzilla, the little girl, Haley Hoddle. Oh, she was just so natural. I just felt she represented the deaf indigenous community. It was just perfect. Yeah, it was kind of based on indigenous land. It was nice to see the diversity of that movie and the diverse backgrounds. And of course, it was a monster movie. So it was a horror film. Quiet Place was a horror film. And they were deaf. And the fact that there were deaf people involved just made it even better. Coda had the deaf actors, which was great. Oh, she said, I never saw The Sound of Metal. I definitely suggest that you do it. If you have streaming, you can definitely check that out. So there was Coda. I got to be honest. I got a lot of positive and negatives about the movie. Again, I'm a filmmaker. You got to understand. I have friends in other organizations, and we talked about it. We shared our thoughts about Coda. It was interesting, and we found a lot of common ground. It was great deaf representation. About codas, and then Amelia Rose. I forgot her character's name. Forgive me. The as a coda, her family depended on her. They didn't have a lot of interpreters, and so parents had to depend on their children. But see, nowadays, you have interpreters, you have technology, you have resources. And so coda was good, but it was just kind of a wrong time to show that deaf people depend on our kids as interpreters. Not really true. Maybe in the 50s and 60s. Maybe if they changed the times a little bit, it would have been perfect. But today's experience is kind of an old-fashioned thought. That's just my perspective. But overall, I was really happy that it kind of opened the door for actors and give them an opportunity. And that's why I definitely applaud that because it opened doors. Again, the writing was from a hearing perspective, but I will certainly tip my hat. So, especially for hearing people who intentionally include the deaf community. They've done their research, they've definitely studied before, and then they start the film. That's perfect. That was exactly what Coda did. That's what the director did. Oh, she studied, she immersed herself, and just integrated all of that into the movie. And I think that's why Coda was a success. You know, you've heard the term inspiration porn. So Mary wants to know, do they have any romantic comedies with deafies? I haven't um this close. So Shauna and her co-star, her co-producer. I believe that's a romantic comedy. I believe. I'm not 100% sure. That's just from my recollection. I definitely Google that. This close. Hi, this is Juliana, Deaf co-executive producer of Hallmark Hall. Cool. Welcome. Anyway, I just wanted to share my viewpoint and my opinions. Oh, I'm thrilled at the deaf representation, but it would just be nice if they brought more deaf writers. That would definitely be a challenge for sure. I watched Your Name is Jonah, 1979, with a deaf child actor. Children of a Lesser God was one as well. Your Name is Jonah. I think I saw that one. I think Killing It movie, was that Hollywood or was that a deaf film? Which one was it? Really? This topic of deaf representation in Hollywood. That's a big deal in the Hollywood industry to start opening doors and inviting more and more deaf themed and related projects. Yeah, so I mean, go ahead and share your thoughts. I mean, I've shared mine, my thoughts and opinions, both positive and negative. I'm just kind of curious about your thoughts. Thumbs up, thumbs down, not enough. Do you applaud Hollywood, following giving us representation, or did they miss the mark? Let me know. I missed somebody's comment. Who was that at the bottom? Never love silent? You mean silent? Never love silent? Can you explain? Yes. You said you mean you didn't like A Quiet Place? You didn't like it? Can you just explain why you didn't like A Quiet Place? Come on, guys. Come on. This is a really good topic. Anyone else? Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and kind of share some information for you. What did you think about Kong versus Godzilla and the little girl? I think it's Kaylee Hoddle. I think that's her name. She was involved in that film. Remember the opening of the movie? She had that big opening scene. So there was a Quiet Place, Sound of Metal. Most of you had not seen The Sound of Metal or The Simpsons. I'm surprised. Let's see, last year, I think it was Best Supporting Actor. I can't remember. I think it was nominated. Troy Kotsur, he won Best Supporting Actor for the Oscars. It really kind of changed the game and opened doors. Yeah, I have to applaud him. It's a step. I prefer working with film companies that intentionally include the deaf community versus tokenism. I'm not a big fan of tokenism, just bringing someone in to say, hey, I support deaf people. They intentionally include, they've done their research, they've studied, they've involved the community, they learn about the culture before they make the movie. That's different. Yeah, Martha, I agree with you 100. Yep. Feel the beat. A Quiet Place is a good example of using ASL mostly then use a voice for noise. Negative for them who use words like dumb or mute. Right. I agree with you. Oh, speaking of, yes, there was just no communication. It didn't matter. She was working with an animal. It was really strong energy. It's kind of that gut feeling. Yeah, she didn't feel threatened. She was a little girl. Oh, yeah, that's my favorite scene right there. Oh, that is my favorite scene. How they framed it, how they came in and really got really close to her ear to let her know she was deaf, but connecting. And remember, in King Kong, he learned how to sign. Remember the gorillas who learned how to sign? That's kind of that's why King Kong was so, um, loved the deaf community so and and understood signing. Right, 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 right. What about ASL films like Juro did meet Hollywood standards. Yes. Unfortunately, it was the industry. It's very cutthroat. Yeah, sound is very, very important for Hollywood, and that was a good film, but there was no sound, there was captioning, and Hollywood just kinda dismissed it. They weren't very interested in it. If it's a deaf producer, it's awesome, and when you add sound, you gotta follow the hearing standards. A deaf person has a different concept and feeling for sound than a hearing person does. Yeah, ASL films have the capability of being in Hollywood, but so far, not a lot. You don't see a lot of ASL films, not in a long time. But honestly, to be honest with you, Hollywood is just not going to invest in a lot of films if they don't have sound. Sometimes you have to meet them halfway, though, just to show them. Yeah. Yeah, the ASL films have good quality because of the director of photography. Did a lot of filming for ASL films, and maybe Hollywood wants him, to film for them. The director was very good. Again, so forgive me if I get a little bit deep. It's not that I'm being negative. So listen, I want to share some interesting fun facts with you. I kind of already explained a little bit earlier, but I want to go a little bit deeper now. Did you know that the director of Coda, Sean Hayter, remember she adapted the screenplay. She got it for Best Picture, Best Adaptive Screenplay, Best Supporting Actor. Remember they won the 3 awards, the Oscars. But here's a fun fact. Sean Hayter spent months preparing for the movie Coda and making it accessible as possible before that first scene was shot. She made sure there were ASL masters and consultants on the set. In fact, one of them was the ASL consultant for Quiet Place. The crew familiarized themselves with deaf culture in Massachusetts, where the movie was shot, just to make sure they were using the right regional signs. They redesigned the sets to make sure it looked like a deaf home. So, Massachusetts has a different accent and different signs. It was a little more accurate and more authentic. And so that's what intentional inclusion looks like. That's what Sean Hayter did. She studied, she researched, she just made sure she respected the culture before she even made the film. I applaud that. And I think that's why the film was successful. But again, it can be a little biased too, because they call it inspiration porn. Deaf family depending on her hearing child. You saw that in the 50s and the 60s, but right now, I think that's gone. Yeah, Jason said, yeah. The scene, they actually redesigned the set to make it look like a deaf home. Like they made a round table for sitting so everybody can talk to each other, sitting around watching television, having a conversation with each other. It was a deaf environment. I applaud that. What are your thoughts? I was just sharing a little fun fact with you about the director, Sean Hayter. Oh, also, she was very strict about making sure that the actors' hands were never cut off. They were always in frame. Here's a perfect example. Switched at Birth, they had a lot of deaf actors in there, but one big negative, it was a lot of autism. They would cut off their hands. I was really disappointed with that. Sometimes it was too wide. So Sean Hayter made sure that none of the hands were cut off. I could just go on and on, honestly, just with all of my knowledge, but I'll keep it short. Anyway, but here's the point. Hayter says she wanted to create a deaf and hearing production set unlike anything ever done before. And she said she wanted to pass down what she learned while making Coda to other filmmakers and studios who are, trying to do the same thing. Okay, but I have to disagree a little bit. Again, I loved her vision, I loved her intentionality, but I have to let you know that's not a new concept. It's not the first time that they've included that type of integration. That's not a new concept for deaf producers and writers and deaf filmmakers, not at the Hollywood level. But again, I'm not being negative. I'm just telling you the truth. I applaud Sean, but it's not a new concept for deaf creators. Oh, it was just beautiful intentionality, but I just disagree a little bit. Unfortunately, it's a bit of a privilege for the hearing community. Oh, Kelly says I watched Switched at Birth. I was in one of the background scenes. and the pilot. I think it was episode 1, and I think I was playing basketball. Oh, The Walking Dead, that's right. The Eternals. Ah, I wish that there was a deaf soap opera. I'm not a big fan of soap operas. So a question for Martha. Do you think they will have a Coda 2, but a different deaf culture? That's a really good question. It was really based on a script. I think it's a good idea to make another Coda from a deaf perspective, not from a hearing perspective. It would be completely different, I guarantee you that. Oops. Oh, that was a long time ago. I was wearing red glasses, I had braids, I was running, up the basketball court. I was just in the background. Oh, but I have so many stories I could tell you. That's not the point. I just kinda wanna discuss whether you guys feel about deaf representation in Hollywood. Has it gotten better? Are you happy with it? You wish there was more, a little bit more of this? Are you satisfied with what's being offered? That's what this conversation is about. I mean, it's been 5 years, and you've seen so many. So the next question is, ah, exactly. Maybe you could write the script, Cameo. What are your thoughts on why the deaf actors picked the Unreal Coda actor? I'm glad you brought that up. We talked about it a long time ago from our Sign1News. We did our research here, and we found out what was the question again? I'm sorry, can you show it one more time? Got it. Got it. I remember now. If they had picked a deaf actor, that would have been fantastic. But they decided to pick Amelia from Britain, and the reason is she could sing. She had the voice to sing. She had the accent. It was different. So the British accent was a little different than the American accent. She was very gifted when it came to music, as she picked up ASL. It was a requirement, and she trained, I think, for 6 months. I think 6 months. She trained and trained and trained for 6 months. So I agree. Some coders have amazing skills, and some coders will have basic signs, and some coders can't sign at all. So it's so diverse. That was very controversial. So I did the research on it, and I found out kind of behind the scenes and the reason behind picking the higher ups picked her. It was her talent that she could sing. They did interview some other people from Britain, but they couldn't sing. I hope that answers your question. Shout out to Deaf News, like Sign1News. We do need weather for sure. Anyway, I'm just going to go to the next question. Anyway, how many of you saw Martha? Martha. I'm an actress, a filmmaker, and a director, and I tend to focus on horror films. You can find me on IMDb, Martha Anger, on the website IMDb. So I'm going to go ahead to the next question because time's just running out so fast. I'm just curious, how many of you actually saw The Simpsons, the episode last Sunday? It showed the first deaf character. What'd you think? Thumbs up or thumbs down? Let me know what you think. I mean, it was a cartoon. The Simpsons was cartoons was now my favorite. But now that they had a deaf character, it's pretty cool. So share your thoughts on that one. Don't worry about, ruining it. A spoiler alert, because I'm not going to watch it. Oh, I wouldn't watch it due to autism on hearing. Can you explain what you mean by that? I can't watch. You feel it was offensive? Did you think it was offensive? No, you haven't watched it yet? Okay. It seemed okay to me. Just from what I heard, some people supported it. They liked it. They loved the deaf character, but some people, they felt it was misinformed information about the cochlear. Lisa was chatting with the deaf character, and the deaf community felt some kind of way, about there was no deaf cultural influence. That's just from what I'd heard, you know. So I haven't even seen the episode yet, but I will watch it. Oh, you meant autism. Autism. Yeah, I see your point. I need to watch that episode myself so I can get an understanding of what happened. I miss The Simpsons because I was in Baltimore, Maryland for the Maryland Association of the Deaf Gala. I drove back home on Sunday night after the gala, but we'll have to watch it on repeat later on. So I can search for the most recent Simpsons episode and watch it. Same. That's why I asked. I was just curious. Thumbs up, thumbs down. I wasn't really sure if you'd seen it yet. Hi, Martha. I just want to let you know that I'm director of independent and actor too. I work with Tyson Love at his company, 2BQ production studio in Atlanta. I live in South Carolina, 2 hours from Atlanta. Towson lives in South Florida. Awesome. Welcome to the filmmakers community. Cool. I'm a jack of all trades. I started in the film industry over 15 years ago. My first job was as a boom operator, honestly. People thinking deaf people can do sound? You'd be amazed. I have that I can do all attitude. So a lot of people were requesting me to do a boom operation for a couple of films. I've done light work. I've worked closely with the director of photography. I was a key grip, in the video department. I directed a short film. But right now I'm just kind of starting with the basics and working my way up, and then I'll be able to start directing films myself. Right now, though, I'm kind of focused on acting. I'm kind of going very flexible and available. You hire me, I'll do whatever you need me to do. All right, time to start wrapping up. Any last comments before I close? Come on. I want a movie or TV show, Deaf PI, almost like Magnum PI. Was that the 80s, right? Oh, I suggest just go online, go to Fox, and look for The Simpsons, the most recent date and the most recent episode. Cameo says, I hope there are future thousands or millions of more deaf actor and actresses. Here's a little fun fact, though. Hollywood is basically about 1,000 people, and they all know each other. And there's Gaytree. Hi, Gaytree. How are you? That's the reason I set up Phoenix Afire, to welcome everyone who is inexperienced and wants to be an actor, director, and many more. Gaytree, can you go back? Can you go back to Gaytree's comment? I missed something. Oh, I agree with you, Gaytree. I agree with you. It's just open the doors for anyone that doesn't have any acting, and many more. So follow Gaytree on our website, Phoenix the Fire. All right. Katie says, I want to see more deaf people in any movie and TV shows in the future. Think about it. For the past 5 years, there have been so many deaf themed movies and productions. It's going to be ripple effects. It's going to get better. They're going to start hiring deaf writers and deaf directors. And that'll be a completely different game. Again, I applaud. Thank you. Granted, it is inspiration porn, but there are some positives because it's opening doors and opportunities. So it's the positive and the negative. Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. Okay, we're going to wrap up. You guys are the best. Love you. Take that out. Sign1News is partnering with the American Heart Association to offer Sign1News viewers quick heart health tips every week. If there's a health topic you'd like more information about, let us know, and we'll see if we can get it into the show. This week's heart health tip: is 10,000 steps really the magic number for health? For years, people trying to get in shape have heard if they take 10,000 steps a day, it's good for their health. Well, that's actually more of a marketing accident than based on science, and a good way to sell more phones and watches that track your daily activity. Research shows the number of steps we should be striving for per day to decrease cardiovascular disease is lower than 10,000 steps, more like 5,000 to 6,000 steps per day. That's roughly the equivalent of 150 minutes per week. Health experts say the bottom line is this: sit less and move more. And that is your heart health tip of the week. Great discussion, everybody. Thank you so much. Thank you to our amazing viewers, and of course to our loyal Sign1News app supporters. You help make this broadcast happen. And by the way, speaking of Hollywood, I want to let you know I'm going to be taking a short break from Sign1News to work on a major studio production here in Atlanta. Understand, again, I'm not leaving. I'm just on a break. I'm just on a break. I'll be back. I will. Don't worry. So you're going to see me Monday and Tuesday of next week. And then after that, I'm going to disappear for a minute. Maybe for a few, 2-3 months, couple of weeks. I really don't know. But again, I'll be back. Don't worry. However, my very, very talented co-anchors, Gaytree and Mickey, Vanessa, Paloma Bajarnik, will be substituting for me. So please make sure you show them a lot of love and support. And here's a little insider information as well. There may be some new faces joining the broadcast team soon. So be on the lookout for that too, the new faces. As always, we like to end each show with words of inspiration, words that will hopefully help you dream a little bigger, aim a little higher, and find the courage to be a little bolder. If you ever wondered what a true friend is, this quote from Tamika Newhouse will certainly help. She went from being a teenage mother to a CEO and author by the age of 20. The quote says, "When days are dark and life gets tough, your real friends will be there to tell you that it will be okay, to ask you if there's anything that they can do. Your fake friends will stand from a distance watching you to see if you make it and to see if you fail. Be sure to join us next Saturday at 6 p.m. Eastern Time for another great live virtual chat. Have a wonderful weekend, everybody.